Math Man. Today, I'm in my kitchen getting ready to cook some delicious treats. But the thing is, before I do that, any recipe I'm looking at has fractions in it. Things like 3/4 of a cup, 2/3 of a cup, 1/2 cup, 1/4 cup. Today, we're going to learn how to multiply and divide fractions. So, let's go to the board.
Hello students, now that we're at the board, let's take a look at how to multiply and divide fractions. First, let's start with terminology. Hopefully by now you do know what a fraction is. A fraction is a rational number shown as a division of two integers. Those integers can be positive or negative. For example, we have 3/6, negative 4/8, 7/12, or negative 5/9. For the purposes of this video, I'm only going to be using positive integers to help illustrate the point. Let's start with just multiplying. With these fractions, you're going to multiply across. So for example, multiplying, we're going to line the fractions up. Next, multiply the numerators. That's the number on top of the fraction. Then we're going to multiply the denominators. That's the number on bottom. Then we're going to simplify, reduce, or convert to a mixed number. For example, let's start with this example, 3/6 times 4/5. First, we're going to multiply across the top, 3 times 4, which gives us 12. Then we're going to multiply the bottoms, the denominators, 6 times 5, which gives us 30. So you have a result of 12 over 30, or 12/30ths. Now the last step is to simplify, because we don't want to leave it this way. We want to give the simplest answer possible. So we have to find a number that we can use to reduce. In this case, we can divide the top and the bottom, the numerator and the denominator, by 6, and that will help us to reduce the fraction. We divide the top and the bottom by 6. 12 divided by 6 gives us 2, and 30 divided by 6 gives us 5, so we have 2/5, and that would be our answer. Now we're going to talk about dividing fractions. And for this one, we're going to use the method called keep, change, flip. For dividing, again, we're going to line up the fractions. We're going to keep the first fraction as it is. Then we're going to change the sign from division to multiplication. Then we're going to flip the second fraction, also referred to as using the reciprocal, or the opposite. And then we're going to follow the directions for multiplication. And we already know how to multiply, so let's get to it. So let's look at this example of 4/6 divided by 4/5. We'll keep the first fraction the same, so it remains as 4/6. Then we're going to change that division symbol to multiplication. Finally, we're going to take that 4/5 and use the reciprocal. We're going to flip the fraction and make it 5/4. Now we're going to go through the rules of multiplication again. So now we're going to take the numerators and multiply them. 4 times 5 equals 20. Then we'll take the denominators and multiply them. So 6 times 4 equals 24, which leaves us a result of 20 divided by 24, or 20/24. But again, we want to reduce whenever possible because we want the simplest answer. So we have to find a number that we can use to reduce both of these. So we can do division by 4 for the numerator and the denominator. If we divide 20 by 4, we'll get 5. If we divide 24 by 4, we'll get 6. So we end up with 5/6 as our answer. And we can't reduce it any further, so we know that we're done. And now it's question time! Now it's time to solve some of these fractions. Let's start with this one. 3/5 times 2/6. So if we're going to take the numerators and denominators and multiply them across, 3 times 2 will give us 6, and 5 times 6 gives us 30. So we have an answer of 6/30. But we can reduce this number. So we'll reduce it by dividing the numerator and the denominator by 6. That will give us a final result of 1/5. Next, 4/6 times 3/8. So once again, we'll multiply the numerators and denominators, and we'll end up with 12/48. And once again, we can reduce this number, so let's do it. we can divide the top and the bottom by 12, which will give us a final answer of 1/4. One more time. Let's do a division problem this time. 9/12 divided by 2/3. Well, first we have to employ the keep, change, flip method. First, 9/12 we keep the same. Then we change the sign and make it multiplication. Then we flip or use the reciprocal to make that 2/3 into 3/2. Then when we multiply across, we end up with 27/24. Now this one, since it is an improper fraction, meaning that the numerator is greater than the denominator, we want to pull out any whole numbers because this is greater than 1. So 24/24 would be 1 whole, which would leave us with 1 3/24. And that would be our final answer. Now it's time for you to try some on your own. Take time and pause the video if you need to make sure that you have enough time to answer the question, and then unpause it and see if you got it right. I'm going to give you some music to work by, so have at it.
Well, students, now we know how to multiply and divide fractions. And since we've been able to use fractions so well, now I've got my delicious treat. So delicious. Now, if you haven't already done so, make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave comments down below so I know how I'm doing, how it's helping you, and if there's any other topics that you need. So, until next time, keep mathing on.